Good morning, manna gatherers. In the words of Jesus, I'm back. Or am I more thinking Arnold Schwarzenegger? No, I think I am definitely feeling like Jesus, like I have indeed experienced a resurrection of sorts in my life. I was dead, and now, behold, I am alive. Not alive forevermore, but alive right now. I took a brief hiatus from Morning Manna because, to be honest with you, and totally truthful and transparent and very vulnerable, I was feeling absolutely dead, burnt out, overwhelmed, and just beyond fatigued. My heart, my head, my body were not in a very good place, and I needed to step away from a few things. I think I shared with many of you already that I am cursed with what I think many people are cursed with, and that is the curse of perfectionism. And I felt at the time that my head and heart and body were not in a good place. I felt like I couldn't really give my best to Morning Manna. And so in such a stressful time, it's all or nothing for me. And turned out to be nothing because I couldn't do it perfectly. But several Morning Manna listeners, many of you, reached out to me and shared a lot of your love and a lot of your wisdom. Thank you. One piece of wisdom that I needed to be reminded of and really needed to hear was that God doesn't need our ability, just our availability. Just our availability. I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to make my message perfect with the perfect words on Morning Manna. That doesn't keep me from striving, of course, for perfection, but God can use and God does use and even speak through whatever imperfect words I string together for you. That's my hope and that's my belief. So, with all of that in mind, I am back to Morning Manna because the months of morning mannaing with you have also been a gift to me that I have missed. It keeps me grounded when I do these and mindful of our broader connection beyond a time and space physically together. We are connected throughout the week. As a community. So I will see you from now on Morning Manna's Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I'm easing back into Morning Manna's, keeping myself committed to 3 days a week, putting up a Morning Manna. So that will be on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. So that's a little backdrop into where I have been, where we are going. Now let's get to our scripture text for this week on April 19th. We are going to be in Ecclesiastes 1. I picked one verse because I hope that you will mull that scripture over and try to pick one verse so that you can easily memorize it. Scripture was oral to begin with before it was written down, and it was meant to be memorized. So here is Ecclesiastes 3:1. I bet you know it. For everything there is a season, a time for every matter under heaven. So I'm teaching one of our adult Sunday school classes on wisdom literature of the Bible, which includes Ecclesiastes, Psalms, Proverbs, Song of Solomon, Job, and Lamentations. The writer of Ecclesiastes is said to be King Solomon, but in actuality was probably not. He is called, the writer, probably a male, because males wrote at the time, Koheleth, which means teacher. Koheleth, teacher, is the author of Ecclesiastes. But Koheleth, well, he's a little bit jaded in life, melancholy, fatalistic person. These words in Ecclesiastes 3 are about as positive sounding as Koheleth gets in the whole 12 chapters of his book. His observation, though, is spot on, isn't it? For everything, there is a season. For a time for everything, every matter under heaven. I think wisdom comes when being able to gracefully navigate the end of one season and the beginning of the next. which I am not good at. In over a decade of working with a pastoral counselor, I know this much about myself. Not only am I a perfectionist and tend to have all or nothing thinking, especially when I am stressed out, but I am also not very good with the changing of seasons. That is to say, with life transitions. I am not great at seeing that for everything there is a season, and seasons do come and go. And so I have to really work at letting go of one season, closing that chapter, and entering a new season, and really, really work at finding the positive, the good, and the blessings of the new, and not living in a season that is gone, is past, is behind me. Living like that, I have experienced, leads to a lot of frustration, exhaustion, restlessness, and even regret and anger. I heard our bishop here, our Methodist bishop here in the South Carolina conference, use the illustration of driving a car for the experience of life. He said life is like driving a car, moving forward and going somewhere. But in order to move forward and to go somewhere, you don't focus on the rear view mirror when you're driving. I was looking this way like I'm some European driver looking out the rear view mirror. No, when you're not looking in the rear view mirror trying to get somewhere, you may glance in the rear view mirror from time to time, but you look through the windshield to see where you are going as you move forward. And if you did try to drive forward while exclusively looking through the rear view mirror, you'd probably encounter some serious accidents. I think this illustration also helps us understand what Koheleth, the teacher of Ecclesiastes, gets at in these verses. For everything there is a season of past, a season of the present, and even a future season that awaits us. And there is a time for everything, for all matters, for all happenings, for all life events under heaven. And this one verse gets to a point that I think the teacher, Koheleth in Ecclesiastes, makes throughout his 12 chapters. So much, we have to admit, is out of our control, as much as we want to be in control. As much as we work to, in fact, control the seasons and timing of life, we often get reminded when things don't go as planned, don't go our way, when we aren't in control, that you are not in control. That is not to say that we are bystanders in life and life just happens to us. That is not the case at all. Rather, life is out of our complete control because timing and seasons are in the hands of God. If we allow God to be the author of the seasons of our life, whether things go as planned or not, we have a firm foundation, a firm anchor in God, whatever the season, that will help us get us through each and every varying season and time. For there will be times, as Ecclesiastes 3 beyond verse 1 goes on to say, there will be times of birth and death, breaking down and building up, weeping and laughing, mourning and dancing, silence and speaking, love and hate, peace and war in all of our lives. But as unpredictable as the seasons and timing of life can be, one thing is true and steadfast and faithful and constant: God's very presence. And if you focus on the rear view mirror of the shoulda, coulda, woulda of seasons and times gone by, you'll rob yourself of the gift of God in the present, the gift of God in the here and now. Remember this week, for everything there is a season and a time for everything, every matter under heaven. What season are you in right now? Are you in a season of transition where you need to let some season or time go by, closing that chapter and entering a new one? Or are you in the middle of a season? Whatever the season, whatever the time, God is with you. I will see you tomorrow. tomorrow. No, I will see you on Wednesday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Manna Gatherers.